Here they are, and as you can see, they are sitting on a 8-win, 1 draw and 2 losses score. We have been talking about it over the weekend. The 9-1-2 score is probably what's guaranteed to, you know, have a spot in the top 64. So they really have to win out here. A draw shouldn't be enough. And let's see these openers.
You know, something funny, you said maybe Christos has done his homework, but I reckon, like us, he was probably around when the first incarnation of Ritual Beasts was being played. So maybe he just knows all the cards. Could be a bit of a trap, though, because there are plenty of new ones that you have to keep your eyes on. What do you think of this choice from Phong here? I can see that dimensional shifter,
right?
And he's choosing not to start with it. And could get punished. I mean, here there's an impermanence, so I guess either way it doesn't really matter. But if he just started with it, it would have protected him from things like Effect Failure.
And we are actually passing. That's it. Impermanence on Cannahawk was enough. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Tom. Valor has been super popular. In the last Future match, we saw Dink activating multiple copies of it. So yeah, maybe a little bit of an heads-up play for the future. And yeah, Christos is happy with this, although obviously the shifter is very annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I say it doesn't matter, but I'm peeking at another card in Christos' hand, that Dominus Impulse.
Yes.
So rarely does a trap going to the graveyard make much of a difference to the game, but in this case, it very well might, getting to destroy the card as well as negate a card.
Oh, wow.
Pass back.
Yeah. A pass back is brutal. As we've mentioned, playing through shifter is not easy, but yeah, you don't want to give this Cannahawk another chance to activate his effect. And are we going to see a response? Not quite.
Yeah, this feels devastating for Christos. Just leaving that Cannahawk on the field. You've already spent a card to negate it for a turn. Now you're going to have to spend another one. And Phong will get another normal summon as well. Yeah. Ritual Beast like really needs its normal summon. Yeah, sorry.
No, exactly. And I also feel like that Christos maybe was, I mean, given that Phong didn't, you know, start things off with the shifter, I think the impermanence would have helped him out. But yeah, it just stopped the Tamer Lara, which was banished with the Cannahawk from special summoning a monster from the deck.
Yeah, luckily for Phong, the additional effect did not really pay off as he was used to negate the Lara. But yeah, we have an incredible opener. It's always great to see these cards, as you have mentioned, Tom, that have not been relevant for something along the line of 9 years, because Ritual Beast was mostly relevant in 2015, I think, in you know, Necrot's format. And yeah, they're still really good today.
Yeah, here comes the Mighty Penguin. I'm not sure what type the ultimate Ritual Beast that was banished is. I guess it's probably Psychic, considering that Lara got some...
it is Psychic.
Oh yeah, we're no longer under the shifter, right? So things are going to happily go to the graveyard.
And yeah, we have seen this plenty of time with Julio. We've had a pretty sick run at the European Championship and also at the World Championship later on, you know, showcasing this deck. And yeah, it's good that more duelists are picking it up. It's definitely a force to be reckoned.
Yeah, nice to see the interaction from some of the newer Ritual Beast cards, because previously you would need a Ritual Beast and a Ritual Beast Tamer on the field to do your sort of fusion plays. But in this case, we had one in the graveyard, and one of the newer Ritual Beasts can special summon itself by banishing a Ritual Beast from your field and grave. So that was how the Lara got banished. And now you get up to a Ritual Beast and a Spiritual Beast Tamer and start making some Cannahawks.
Yeah, this is the usual Cannahawk line, where you're able to resolve as much as possible.
Yeah, it starts to get a little confusing, I'd say, because most decks, they have, you know, all of the cards, you can only use their effects once per turn, whereas Ritual Beast kind of flips it on its head and say, you can use the effect as many times as you like, but you can only special summon this card once per turn.
Yeah, definitely it can be tricky to keep track of that.
But I also feel like, as you mentioned, I think, although times have changed, like, I always feel like that, as in the past, I will not like to face the deck, even nowadays, to be fair. Because like it's very scary, it's consistent, and on the other hand, you're not even so sure where to activate your cards, right? I remember with Necros, when you were facing the Ritual Beast deck, you were like, man, I'm in trouble, you know?
So here comes that Cannahawk again, as we mentioned. Can be used any number of times. well, as long as you get a fresh copy each time, so that could be involved. Well, I guess Phong started with it on the field this time, so he got it once, and then he could get it again because it's been special summoned. If he can normal summon another copy or something like that, then he would get to keep playing this Canahawk. He's already used this normal summon this turn, so that Tamer Elder going to be stuck in the hand unless he gets access to an extra normal summon, which the Ritual Beasts definitely have plenty of.
Yeah, Kimun Falcos is summoned. Also, yeah, it's not every day that you get to set up, but this time we could also see him trying to just go for a game if he can't push enough damage. Because usually the line is to activate, the boosting effect multiple times with the Apelio. So maybe that could be a strategy. Here it comes down.
Yep, going to get to activate it at least once. I remember this one, back in the day probably wasn't the best of the Ritual Beasts because you needed cards already in your graveyard, but now I think it seems a lot easier to get going and get your cards into the graveyard, so it serves its purpose perfectly well.
Yeah, but this, as we were saying, allows you to easily OTK in a way, because although you can only special summon it once, if you have additional normal summons, you get it, and then it boosts every Ritual Beast by 1,000 if you activate it twice, so that can add up really quickly. So
if we're having a look at Christos's deck list, is there any extra interruptions we could expect to see coming down here? Obviously, already having used the Impulse, maybe that set card might be something. There it is. Hovering over that super polarization there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't feel like there's an impermanence there from Christos. Because, like, if there is, maybe he's been holding on to it, but I don't really think that's the case, honestly.
Pretty sure would have used it on the Canok right away at the start. So.
And the Splitting Ash Blossom, but the only card I can see is the Super Poly, if, there's a scenario in which he has it. But apart from that, honestly, I can't see anything else.
Super Poly, one of those cards, is extremely powerful, but if you're playing against a deck you're not expecting, it might be that you don't have the cards in your extra deck needed to do so. So you've got that Mud Dragon in the extra deck. Is there anything else? Just the Mud Dragon. Oh, and a Garura.
Garura, yeah.
But I don't know all the types and attributes of all the Ritual Beast monsters.
Yeah.
I feel like they all have kind of different
Most
types.
of them, I think they're wind.
Are they all wind, and then maybe all of the...
yeah, they are all wind.
Okay.
Outside of just Lara, I think.
Yeah.
And then maybe it is the case that all of the Ritual Beasts themselves are they not all beasts? No, they all have different types, it seems.
Yeah.
But the Tamers are all psychics, right?
Exactly.
So gonna have to hold it for just the right time.
Yeah, there comes another Apelio, as we were mentioning.
It's like an awful lot of things have happened, but the field of Phong not growing too much bigger, unlike in other decks where they seem to just sprout monsters out of left, right, and center.
Here comes good old friend, maybe not so much, in the Nemesis flag, also fresh off Quarter Century Bonanza, if you want to upgrade the rarity. And we all know where that can lead to. One of the most important threats of the deck going first is that Protoss. And yeah, it's really a scary card, especially we were mentioning it yesterday. Once you have the knowledge of what your opponent is playing, it gets even better, because you can have different lines in this deck where you can actually call different attributes with it. So,
but in this case, Phong going for the Corridor instead. It's a nice option people can use to make the very powerful Thunder Dragon Colossus, because it's a Thunder monster that special summons itself from the hand. So you've activated an effect of a Thunder monster in your hand, which is the condition that allows you to get out that Colossus. I don't know how much damage this is. I don't think the...
yeah, it is plenty.
Coloss.
Oh, it's plenty,
yeah.
Okay.
And there it is. It's enough. It's not what you usually would expect, but In the end, yeah, it was just too overwhelming of a start, or well, I gotta say maybe too underwhelming of a start from Christos, which at least can reassure himself that he completely preserved the information.
Yep.
He only showed impermanence and impulse, and I guess that opens up a lot of decks.
Yeah, having said that, I mean, I guess you know Impulse kind of knocks down some of the cards you might be playing. For example, you're not running any Kashtira cards, any Fiendsmith cards. Probably puts you on like a fire deck or a water deck, most likely.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, you're right.
There are fire. There are fire.
They are fire. But you're probably not going to be picking this. You probably think, oh, it's probably Snake Eye, Fire King, or
Yeah, it
Primal
could be
or something.
Fire King. I guess it could also be Tempai, technically, but obviously, you know, it's more unlikely, I would say, just because you probably saw that they skipped a turn with Shifter, so rather than thinking that they completely bricked, you think, or at least you could think that the Shifter hurt them, so maybe that's not quite Tempai. I would say Fire King is probably a reasonable option, just because, you know, Rescue Ace, as we've mentioned, is not quite popular. But now Christos gets to go first. I think the setup can still be threatening. I mean, the reason why Rescue Ace was that strong in the past was that it can set up both, you know, Master Negation effects, but also, you know, the famous Turbulence. If it resolves, unless you are playing cards like Feather Duster, you know, you're getting a lot of interruptions.
Yeah, that is safe to say. Different decks have different strategies for playing against this Rescue Ace deck. I think some decks like Love, I mean, it's a bit of a throwback, but like Pearly, for example, could play the Street, prevent you being targeted, or Tempai could prevent your monsters being affected in the battle phase from all of those spells and traps. But I don't know what Ritual Beast has got up its sleeve to deal with those targeting effects.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like that if the opponent wants to side in something, there's a triple Tactic Thrust, which is a generic card, or also the Dimensional Fissure, if he really feels like it, having something more against the deck. But as mentioned, he didn't say it, so that may not be the case, but I guess we will soon find out, because our players are ready, so let's jump into Game 2.
There we are. The first question is, are we going to see another Shifter?
I'm looking at his cards one at a time. Are you a Shifter?
Oh, I think it's the last
There
card.
it is.
Wow.
Wow.
We do, and I think there is also a Mulcharmy. I don't. Yeah,
Charmy, I don't know. Yeah, can't
could
tell.
be Fuvolas. I'm not sure which one. Yeah, this hand looks sick, but we are not using it. Okay, no, maybe because yeah, we are still in the draw phase, most likely from Christos.
I feel like you just play the Shifter now.
We surely
no
do.
need to let that hit the grave.
Yeah. And there it comes, and you can see Christos, yeah, accepting its fate.
You were thinking he was going to react. He just didn't react at all, did he? It's like, yeah, okay. Guess I just won't play my
he's
Diabell
used
style.
to it, 100%. He's a veteran, you know. But yeah, that's brutal. Being on the bubble and being Shifter twice, rough. Let's see if he can find a way to deal with this. I guess in the side decks he's using a lot of traps and also trust, so this could be the strategy if he has anything, but that's not a good sign. Yeah, that's a pass. Wow. So hopefully the face down is one of those side deck cards. For example, Dimensional Barrier is a pretty common card that is sided obviously mainly for Tempai, but it's pretty good against the Ritual Beast deck as well.
Yeah, I feel like Ritual Beast and other similar kinds of decks that rely on fusion summoning or XYZ summoning, for example, is the reason why you would pick the Dimensional Barrier over the Threatening Roar. Because Threatening Roar is a very powerful card against Tempai specifically. Arguably, in my opinion, I think it's a lot stronger against Tempai than Dimensional Barrier. But Dimensional Barrier just has that extra layer of coverage. You know, you can play it against, if you come up against a Ritual Beast deck, or if someone's playing Branded, or, you know, any kinds of different strategies that the Barrier is strong against.
But I think we might see a pass back from how things look. 'Cause he's debating it. He's holding a Mulcharmy and an Impermanence. I can't quite tell the last card at the very end, but
It looks like a Lara, but the original Lara, not the new Lara.
yeah.
So I
But
think
the last one.
Last one
Eden,
can
that's
tell.
when it-
Yes.
Yeah, that's a pass back. I mean, I guess the Mulcharmy also gives you, you know, a reason to do so, but this is not turn 1. So, you know, you can take this full as challenge and just try to go for game, and that's totally reasonable to me. So let's see what Christos decides to do.
Yeah, it seems very unlikely to keep you in the game, especially against this Rescue Ace deck, which has some very high attack main deck monsters. Christos doesn't really need to do an awful lot to put 8,000 damage on the field, compared to some other decks maybe.
Seems like we are considering this impermanence. At least now he finally gets to understand that it was a Rescue Ace, because still there was some doubt there. And yeah, we do use the impermanence.
Was that an Elder in hand, the last card?
Yeah, I think it's Elder.
Yeah.
Oof, and a bonfire is great. Yeah, I mean, this shouldn't be too difficult. Obviously, if this was a regular Snake Eye deck, this was even better, but this is it. Let's see. Poplar goes uninterrupted. We know that there is nothing else in the end from his opponent that can interact at the moment.
Yeah, he's just got that one draw of Fuvalos, assuming that Christos searches the original and activates it, giving you that one opportunity to hit maybe another interruption for the fire engine that's about to hit the field.
Yeah, it's a matter of you know, understanding your position right now. If you're Christos, as we've mentioned, it's either you know that your opponent passed back and then you don't really want to give him draws at all and you take the risk, or you try to figure out if there is a line that with the least possible amount of draws gets you there.
Yeah, I feel like for me, you're definitely gonna try and end the game on this turn. I think you can give them like one or two draws maybe.
And yeah, we're not gonna see a Snake Eye card, we're gonna see the Hydrant.
Gotta put it in attack mode though, you know, get that damage in.
I agree with you. Of course, that's 0. Let's see.
Oh, he drew a Dominance Purge off the top of his deck. Which could be very relevant here.
Yeah, we have mentioned that Dominus Purge is also an amazing card, but obviously has not had the chance to shine as much as Impulse, just because it's tougher to fit in these decks, but Ritual Beast can.
Yeah, thanks to the impermanence. It's going to destroy
that's big.
the Hydrant as well.
This is a big one, honestly, this Purge. Huh?
And yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Christos just attacks. I'm pretty sure he had a Rescue Ace spell in his hand as the last card.
I think, yeah, he has. I mean, this is the one he drew, for sure.
Yeah. But not the emergency, so, you know. That's it. So, important draw, not quite it, in an Ash Blossom.
Yeah, what to do for fun? He couldn't do anything, and then his top cards have been Dominance Purge and Ash Blossom, so if he couldn't do anything before, I don't know what he's going to be able to do now. Can the Elder actually get you to any... Can you actually normal summon the Lara off Elder? You can, okay. But yeah, I think he's just having a look through his extra deck, rereading all of the materials on his cards to say, can he actually use anything?
Yeah, just gonna set one and pass. Assuming it could be the Elder, because the Lara can bring it back. Well, let's see. Definitely a rough spot, and as you can see here, are we gonna Ash this?
I think it's the Lara, because, you know, it's hard to overestimate how powerful a 2000 defense monster is.
That's right. Especially when facing a Witch, right? But yeah, that's true. The Ash, because of the Purge, right? Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately. Yeah. We've seen why the Purge is not played by fire decks, and yeah, Ash Blossom just happens to be a fire monster. So that was actually the worst draw, probably. Then we could have set that instead, but yeah, this gives Christos, you know, a sigh of relief. He knows that his opponent doesn't really have much to respond, and so he's looking really, really well to tie things up, surviving the second shifter.
Yeah, he was right to be, you know, completely calm when the shifter was like, I have my dominance impulse. It's going to keep me safe for a turn, and then I'll have my opportunity.
And here it is.
Here comes the star of his deck. Turbulence. What a card.
Yeah, and The-Phong has seen enough.
Yes, the score is tied. We still have plenty of time, so we're not gonna see a draw, but these duelists are really trying to give it their best. Only one of them can make it to the top 64, unfortunately, and it's gonna take one final game to find out who it is going to be. What do you guys think? Who has the edge?
I feel like you got to give it to Phong with his shifter and dimensional fissure. Now he's going to have access to going first in this game 3. On the other hand, there are some very powerful cards with the first name Mulchami that are very powerful against Ritual Beast in particular, and you've got to imagine they're going to be in a lot of players' side decks, and I think the same for Christos. So if you can pick up one of those cards, it might really put a damper on what's going to come down.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Tom. I think we will see the Dimensional Fissure go in, along with the Cold by the Grave for sure, and I mean, Punk would also think about siding in the one of an anti-spell fragrance just in case, because of the many spells, you know, that the Rescue Ace plays. And yeah, I mean, for Christos, maybe, as you mentioned, I think the Mulcharmies are maybe his choice, or the Triple Tracted Thrust if he really feels like it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a complete shift in the trend of the Triple Tactics cards in general. Talent has really fallen off in popularity just because you have a lot of these entrops that can be used in the draw phase or the standby phase, and that is also why Kashtira is back being a popular engine, because it suffered a lot from the card. And on the other hand, Thrust, which was often used as a going second card, now for duelists such as Christos has begun a going first only card. Like, he doesn't even have targets for going second. He's just putting it in because it's an answer to these entrops in the draw phase, and then can get you the traps, as we have mentioning. So I don't expect the card to be sided in, but as Tom was saying, no surprise, 6 more Charmies in the side deck, and they are all pretty good against Ritual Beast, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's definitely something I was thinking. I think we saw that in the European Championship final even, which Ritual Beast made it into, being devastated by that Mulchami Perulia, because they normal summon so many times, because you can't only special summon each of them once per turn. So if you're going to normal summon like 3 or 4 times, that Perulia is going to be getting quite a lot of value.
Yeah, that is the goal, and obviously from side it will be to set up the first Protoss of the match, which Calling Fire would be devastating against the Rescue Ace deck. But let's see whether that will be the case. As mentioned, only one of the duelists can advance to the top 64, as they're almost done with their side decks. Let's go to game 3 to find out who the winner will be. Here they are. 2 days of Yu-Gi-Oh's, 11 rounds of Swiss down the line, and one final end. The tension is there.
Yeah, Phong just looking at his hand going, one more shifter, you can do it.
Absolutely.
But this time maybe being able to play through one interruption, he'd also probably like even more, because he's been stopped by a single card each time.
Changing his strategy of picking up the cards one at a time. It might.
Is that it?
No,
in the middle?
No, it's not. It's similar.
Yeah, it's not quite it. And so we are gonna start things off as in game 1 with the Kanok. Back then the impermanence was enough, but okay, that's nice. That's a unique, interruption from the Rescue Ace deck. Ooh, but we actually have an impermanence as well to chain. That's a great start for Christos.
Now, what do you think he's gonna summon? You can summon any Rescue Ace from your deck with that impulse. Is he gonna summon the Fire Attacker? No, just the engine.
Yeah.
This was such a powerful card when it came out that people were kind of almost putting it just by itself. You could run 3 of it and maybe something like a Fire Attacker to special summon from the deck. Kind of fell off a little bit, but still a very powerful interruption.
He went for Fire Engine.
It's very neat for decks that they can have like engine pieces that also act on your opponent's first turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking of Avnis.
Always.
So at least differently from game 1, we do have an emergency teleport, which is nice. I'm not quite sure on the last spell whether there was the thrust.
I think it's a thrust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which actually could be really good if that is the case, but
Oh, and the Lara.
yeah, the end is pretty solid.
The double Lara.
Oh, okay. Also drew into the other one.
Yeah, this hand looks unstoppable by sort of conventional hand traps, and we're going to need something like a Parulia or a Fubulos, but clearly
Not the case
not the
anymore.
case, yeah.
Yeah. This is very good because you can bring back the Lara from the graveyard. Yeah.
We were expecting some other interruptions by Christos, but for now it doesn't seem to be the case. Does he have the other impulse? Not the rescue ace one.
It's very hard to interrupt at this point because the Lara's going to get a search,
Yeah.
and then we have the... Is that Nochi Draco on the field?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I'm thinking, summon it.
It's Ash.
Ash as well. Wow.
Yeah, but we already have 2 cards in hand only. And yeah, look at this teleport. That's big. Wow.
All engine and no
Yeah,
brakes.
all gas.
But what is that thrust going to get?
It's a thrust, right?
It looks like a thrust
Yeah,
to me.
I thought so as well. Is he playing the 1 talent?
Actually, it's not.
Okay. That could have been really strong.
I mean, the only card I can see is he could like potentially pick is the Dimensional Fissure.
It's
no.
continuous.
because now it's continuous,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I think Pot of Prosperity is...
Does he play it?
Yeah,
That's
I
just-
see the Prosperity, so
Yeah.
that seems like a good one to potentially pick up, a Dimensional Fissure or something similar.
Weird that he's not playing the 1 talent though.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep it going first, you would assume so, but
It's obviously nice to start summoning monsters on your opponent's turn, but it does make Protoss that much easier for Phong to resolve. He doesn't actually have to get a fire monster of his own on the field now. He can destroy Christos's.
yeah, at least thanks to the fire engine, he gets to access the lifter and then add card for next turn. But Phong is not stopping anytime soon. And here comes the first Ultigana Hawk.
Still hasn't used his sort of regular normal summon, if you like, because the first one was from the Lara,
no, I
was
think
it?
he started
the
with
first one was
Kana
Kana
Hawk.
Hawk, yeah. Just got to remember what you have and haven't summoned.
Yeah.
What did the Lara actually special summon? Oh, it got ashed.
Yeah.
So this is his first
Yep.
special summon of any of the normal
Exactly.
ritual beasts.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I do agree with you on the prosperity. There is an alternative, I guess, of just getting the steeds if you don't search it regularly, or an impermanence face down with the trust. But yeah, we'll see down the line what he wants to do with it.
I know it has to be done sometimes, but I feel very sad if I ever have to set an impermanence of a thrust.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like the Ritual Beast deck often has a lot of cards in its extra deck it doesn't mind banishing. Unfortunately, they can't be food for Canahawk because they get
Yeah.
banished face down.
This is similar to what we have seen in game 1. He's pretty much free to assume that there is no more interruption from Christos, and I guess, yeah, the goal should be the Protoss. I think so. Like,
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, regardless of what you want to do with the thrust, like if you manage to get a Protoss and resolve it for fires, I don't
yeah,
really see how
what can
Christos
they
can
do?
play.
Yeah.
Can summon a Black Witch and attack.
Fierce.
Here comes the Wen.
Yeah, here comes here another special summon to keep track of. And the mighty penguin can use its effect. Probably getting rid once. Yeah.
He looks like a slightly more tropical penguin than you normally see. He's hanging out in the forest rather than in the Arctic.
Hear about the tropical with this weather?
Are we going to see the ulti Gaia Palios, I think? Oh no. Ooh, ulti
no, we go,
Retiari.
yeah, Retiari again. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Explaining, yeah, the steps, just keeping a step right there, but all good. And here comes again on Apelio. Boost not quite relevant, and yes, we do go for the Protoss line eventually, as expected. No final surprise from Christos, and yeah, this is big.
Does he have enough banished monsters at this point? Oh, yeah, just one for the flag.
I also like this Nemesis interaction, you know, which are kind of cool. Someone wants to take the other one.
And there it is. The star of the show was being shy for the entire match, but when it matters the most, it's finally brought to the end from FOM. Can we find a solution for it once it will come down? That's the big question for Christos.
Honestly, we're seeing like the power that it has to push through interruptions. I mean, in the first 2 games, maybe not so strong hands and 1 interruption was enough, but in this, like if you look at Christos' graveyard, right, he's had some of the most powerful cards in his deck that he must have really wanted to see, but it just seems to have been breezed through.
That's a pretty neat interaction here, where we're gonna spy our own card in the graveyard. There it comes.
Yep.
Here goes the fire.
Yep. Gets to resolve, and this is devastating. Again, keeping all of this time the trust, and it's gonna be the Steeds, it seems. Yep. Makes sense to me. Incredible setup. Obviously, it can be a little weak to some popular side deck cards, but I don't think that is the case for Christos. He doesn't really have anything like, yeah.
I'm wondering, is Super Polymerization going to achieve anything? The Protoss being dark and the SP being dark?
I guess that could be decent.
But the follow-up is still there, right? Because you can just banish 2 monsters from your graveyard to summon a No-Chi Draco.
And now the pressure is on Christos. Can he pull off a miracle here? Otherwise, he will be knocked out when it hurts the most, unfortunately. Just 1 game away from advancing to the top 64. Let's see it. I see a lot of spells in his hand, and it's a reinforcement of the army.
Yeah, even though you cannot special summon under Protoss, I think you can still normal summon, so it's going to get to try something.
There comes the impulse added to the end. Seems like it's mostly engine in the end. Is it a wanted? I'm not sure. No, it's a bonfire. Okay.
Adding more and more fire monsters to your hand.
Not ideal.
Unless he's got a Centurion Trudea hiding in his deck.
Yes. Yeah, that's It's a bit rough. Anima, but it doesn't really do anything. Yeah. Those the SP, you know.
And you have to play through the steeds as well.
Yeah. And yeah, probably gonna try that out. One more spell in the end. Not quite sure what that is, but
Yeah, I think it's either the alert or the rescue. I mean, one of them.
we're gonna see the SP here. Banishing this Poplar.
Yeah, no need to mess around, just cut your opponent off as much as you can. That's their one normal summon, so unless Christos has pretty much exactly a witch, there won't be any more monsters on his side of the field this turn.
Seems rough. He's having a look at his graveyard. Could just set one. Let's see.
Devastating thing is there's going to be another fire monster for next turn on the field.
Unfortunate. And yeah, it just set two face down passes. And you can even just get rid of them, right? Because Steeds.
Yeah, how many does the ulti Retiari summon? Does it summon 2?
I think this is pretty much.
Oh, he's just destroying one card.
But yeah. As you can see here. Let's see what he gets. Is it the original? Because I was thinking as well he was gonna. Let's see. It is the original. Okay. Glimmer of hope. Not sure how concrete, but yeah. We'll keep being in there. So the SP is back. One more draw. This could be the last turn for the Swiss portion of the tournament. We're starting things off, not wasting any time with this Protoss.
Yeah, it's just devastating, isn't it? Call fire again. There's almost no way to interrupt it because of the SP on the field already.
How much is this on the field? 25 plus 26, 51.
Plenty of damage.
51, 67. Yeah, almost there, I would say.
And yeah, this is, as you were mentioning, Tom, earlier, the great addition of not even needing to control them anymore, to just special summon some Ritual Beast fusions. And
this looks like so much damage. To add back another Ritual Beast and then normal summon it. And that very generous looking banishment pile. Moving into the ulti guy, Paleo, just to lock up all possibilities.
Absolutely, don't want to risk anything. And yeah, Christos has seen enough and is gonna be Fong taking it. Wow. What a match, what an effort from Ritual Beast. We have mentioned it plenty of times that it is one of those decks that you really need to prepare for, and that keeps on showing its consistency, although it's not very well represented. I am pretty much sure that this guaranteed a spot in the top cut, so good effort from both. Unfortunately, I mean, when you have over 2,500 players and only 64 can advance, some of the great ones are gonna miss out, and that is for Christos, but still kudos on a really great tournament.
Yeah, it's still a fantastic performance for Christos, but what about that Ritual Beast deck? I mean, to me, the main strength is being able to run a deck that has such a powerful engine and can also run these cards like Dimensional Fissure and Dimensional Shifter. They're just so powerful. We saw 2 games in a row when that Dimensional Shifter was played that Christos just passed his turn. There was just nothing he could do.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen also yesterday how powerful these cards are, and I think they're very disruptive in this current format.
Yeah.
And I mean, as mentioned before, I think also like the Ritual Base has this advantage of how does my opponent know my deck, you know? Like, does he know what I'm doing? Maybe doesn't know where to activate the hand traps. I think he has this sort of advantage, and I think the more you pilot the deck, the more you can see that, you know, it's very difficult to play against it. So, I mean, Pong has very good chances to advance into the top 64, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if we did mention that the Molcharmi Fuvolos obviously has, stepped back the deck a little bit, something important to mention is that Nibiru has fallen off in popularity a lot, and if there was a key takeaway from the European Championship Finals was that it does hurt the deck a lot, so I'm glad that all the Ritual Beast players, are, expecting less of the card, and it does show off, because when you're free to play around it, even if you're going to give your opponent some draws, and that could be the case, it's better than getting your field wiped out. So the Protoss can still be scary under, like a deck like Christos. He could have continued, and still it didn't matter how many cards you gave him if it resolved the Protoss, maybe.
Yeah, and as Alberto was saying as well, that layer of opponents not necessarily knowing what's going on can be really powerful in a deck like Ritual Beast, where a lot of the cards have got some quite niche effects going on, like the Retiari says you can't tribute monsters, and then the Nochi Draco says these cards can't be targeted, and maybe the Steeds can destroy cards, but then it does it at resolution. There's so many little things going on with the deck that can be really hard to keep up with if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I totally agree, especially because, like, as you mentioned, these are not small things at the end of the day, right? I mean, maybe, it's like one of the secret effect, we call it, no? I mean, like, the effect, but maybe there are, like, some part of it which maybe you think and then in the end, maybe, oh, wait, maybe I can't do this, and so I really feel like that the Ritual Beast is, among its consistency, I think is very powerful, and as mentioned, Nibiru has fallen in popularity, which gives also, another, layer of credibility to the deck.
Yeah, regardless, it's going to add up to the diversity that we have, witnessed throughout the weekend, and we'll continue to witness in the top cut. As me and Tom were having the meta discussion, we expected still the repeat of 10 plus different decks, and I think that will totally be the case, but we'll ask you to obviously keep watching, and we'll be able to show you guys later on, once we finalize the players and their decks, what the breakdown will be of the top 64. And yeah, we still have some amazing action to show you guys, as we have these 6 remaining rounds of direct elimination to find out who will be the winner of Bologna. We still have incredible names. We have seen Dinka Bui lock his spot in the previous round. He didn't even need to play the last one, so that's a good feeling. And yeah, just I guess place your bets on the deck that's gonna take it, or the player, and we'll see in also our little game whether that will continue to be the case. I think we picked more of some niche picks maybe this time around.
Yeah, I think I did. I don't know. I haven't seen any plant players yet, which was my my secret pick for the tournament, so I'm a little worried about that. But we'll have to see in the top 64 breakdown what happens. I mean, for me, that's like one of my favorite bits of an event, especially if I'm spectating it, is to see which decks get represented and make it all the way through. Is the deck that I think is the most powerful actually the most powerful according to the numbers? And
I've got some bad but good news at the same time for you in that regards, because Julius, the former runner-up, at last YCS Lille, was one of the plant enthusiasts representing the decks. Unfortunately decided to switch decks for this event, but I really appreciate the decision, because he switched over to Mermails of all decks, and I can tell you guys that he was playing on the bubble as well, so maybe fingers crossed, not taking any away from his opponent, he could actually take it. But without further ado, unfortunately we are not gonna see for Mike an all Greek interview, but regardless, congratulations against The-Phong, and let's hear it from him and Mike.
Welcome everyone to analysis area. I am here with Phong, who just made it through the top cut. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
It was an amazing duel, and I want your opinion about the deck. It's a very unique deck, very different regarding the other decks in the meta. I want to tell me why you picked that.
Oh, it's because it's one of my favorite decks. I played this like way early, even in Duel Links I played this deck, so I just stick with it.
Nice, happy to hear that. And of course we have some clips to see, and I want your opinion on them.
Okay.
So the first clip, I think everyone from back in the past will remember, is the summon of Colossus. How do you feel about it in your deck?
Colossus is very strong card. It's so good. So it shuts down just so many cards in this meta, and I think that's why because it's mandatory. Because if you go game 1, you don't know what your opponent's playing, but Colossus is always a safe play.
I see. And so also not only a defensive card, but also an offensive, right? Mm-hmm. Being so big. and
Yes.
has so much attack. Speaking of Colossus, we will just see his summon on the stream. I really love that, mixing the past and the present.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blast from the past.
The second clip I would like to see is the one that, the interaction between Purge and us. There was, a miscommunication there since you cannot activate us. However, would you still recommend Purge in a Ritual Beast deck?
I would still recommend Dominus Purge. It's, I think, the one addition you have when you play Ritual Beast. You only play mostly Wind and Light monsters. But some extra deck cards are Darks and Light Fires, but I think it's still worth to play it.
So any Ritual Beast player watching the stream would probably play Purge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And the last clip, and my favorite one, is the one that you summon Protoss, one of my favorite monsters in the game.
Protoss is a very strong card. Yeah.
Can you tell me about the combo and how you summon it?
Okay. To summon Protoss, you need always a rank 4 play, so you go into Banshee and then add Nemesis Flag, and Nemesis Flag gets you into Protoss. It's a very strong combo also here in Ritual Beast. Yeah.
And how do you feel Protoss about in the meta game?
I think it is mandatory because I choose to decide to run it. There are options to play without it, but I think because of Tempai, I think it is super mandatory to play it. Because they will let you go first, and if you know they let you go first, you can already guess that it's Tempai.
Post game one, do you recommend a side out or you still keep it?
Still play it. I still play it.
Even going second, right? Yeah.
Because it is also, it just clears the board.
Yeah, I would also recommend that, playing it back with Sorcerer. It's an amazing option, having to break the field, and of course, letting your opponent from summoning fire or light even monsters, and dark, of course. Thank you for that. It was an amazing duel. I think everyone was enjoying, and congratulations on your top. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
So, everyone watching, thank you, and back to you, Ed.